Hey, thanks for stopping by. Robert Kofid with Computer Creations with a quick video on a stencil kit that I've been making for softball and baseball teams here in town. And I just thought I'd show you this because it seems to be catching on pretty well. So this is a 20 by 28 piece of 1/4-inch Baltic birch, but you could use MDF, pretty much whatever you want. And it depends on how large the team wants their logo. This is a school logo that I created, and I also do a set of numbers with a frame around that, and I'll show you that here in a minute. That works out really well. It's fast, it's easy, and it's a great way to get into a team where you might be able to provide additional items like water bottles, bag tags, those kind of things. And so this is something that I really haven't seen on the forums yet, and I just wanted to share it because it's something that I really wasn't looking for, but they asked me to go ahead and put something together, and I did, and I think it's going to work out really good. And so I thought you might be able to use it in your area. Whether it's a softball team or a baseball team, what I'm finding is that the teams really like to show off their school logo, be proud of the team, how it looks. And what's happening here on the West Coast is a lot of times the teams paint the numbers of the seniors that are on that team to honor them for that particular year. And that's why they want the series of numbers as well as their school logo or their team logo, whatever it's going to be. So this is an option for you if this is something that you're able to do, because I think this is a great way to just broaden your horizons on some additional products that you might be able to provide. So this is a frame that I've made them. Again, you can size this however you want, and then I cut out these individual letters, right? And so the idea is when they get ready to paint the senior numbers on the field, all they've got to do is grab whatever number they want and drop it in here, like so. And they've got number 12. If for some reason it's a single digit, then I've got a blank that I provide. And so all they've got to do is put this blank in here, and then they paint this. The good thing about this frame, the way it is, it's got enough buffer around the edge that they can spray paint this or use whatever they're using, whether it's chalk, and they don't have to worry about getting any outside of the lines. It keeps it nice and clean. And so this works out real well. The other thing that I will tell you is if you don't have a larger laser, this is a Nova 35-100, so it's got a 24 by 36 bed. But if you don't have one that large, you can certainly do this in a much smaller scale. I just wanted to show you kind of the idea of providing stencils to softball and baseball teams, just because, again, it's another way to make yourself known with the team and the coaches. It may turn into, water bottle orders, those kind of things. And I just haven't seen anybody doing this. And so I'm sure there's lots of people doing it. I just haven't seen it. And so really pretty sweet. You just cut out, numbers 0 through 9, and then a blank one. You make yourself a little holder, and away you go. The other thing that I did is I made just a small logo that they could certainly put in here if they wanted. One of the things that I'll show you quick in LightBurn, we'll go do that next, is how you take a logo or a design and be able to make a stencil out of it. And the trick is that you've got to be able to put all these supports in, so when this is all cut out and you pick it up, that it all stays intact. This is made out of 1/4-inch Baltic birch, and it seems to work out really well. You just got to make sure that you let them know that they need to store all this stuff flat, because if it gets warped, it's not going to do anybody any good. So, well, let's jump into LightBurn. I'll show you right quick what I had to do to this original design to turn it into a stencil, and that way you can give it a try. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how to take a graphic and turn it into a stencil. So this is a graphic that I normally use for all their water bottles and engraving other things. But when you make a stencil, you cannot use, or you have to modify your existing graphic. Otherwise, when you go to cut this out, it'll all fall apart on you. And I'll demonstrate that this way. If we highlight this, and I've just changed this to fill for demonstration purposes, and we'll go ahead and look at both of these in a preview window. And what you'll see is this is the way the school graphic came in. This is what I use on their sports bottles, that kind of stuff. Great for engraving. But if you tried to cut this out, what's going to happen? Because nothing's connected to the outside. So just imagine that you're setting this graphic on a piece of wood. And if I cut this out, this O would drop out, this piece would drop out, all of the parts in the letter A would drop out because it's not connected by anything. And so in order for you to do this and for this to work, you've got to understand kind of how stencils work. And so I thought I'd just show you what I had to do to this graphic over here in order for it to become a stencil, to where you could go ahead and cut this out on a piece of 1/4-inch plywood or whatever your choice is, and this graphic stays together. And the secret is to make sure that it's all connected from the outside to the inside. So the best way to describe this is what I did is I just did some node editing and I created these bridges. And so basically I can go from the outside to the inside, to the inside, to the inside. And you can see that all these pieces are connected, usually in multiple areas. Like there's no way I could just do one bridge for the O. I needed to support it in 4 different places. And you try to pick places that aren't going to stick out too bad, and it just takes a little bit of trial and error. But what I did is I made a bridge here, made a bridge here, here, and so on. And if you don't know how to node edit, there's a lot of great videos out there on node editing, and it's a hugely powerful skill that once you learn it, you can do things like this. This probably took me maybe 10 minutes to go from this to this. And then I've got a stencil. I can make it whatever size I want. And so that's typically how you want to generate your stencils. Is you want to just make little bridges. Let's take a look at the way it looks in LightBurn. So you notice that we're always connected, and all I've done is I've just cut this and added a line and did that all the way around. And so that's really the best, easiest, fastest way to create a stencil. And once you do that, then you're in pretty good shape. The next thing that I needed to do was to create the template and the set of numbers. So let's jump into another file and I'll show you how I did that. Before we get going, I thought I'd show you just a quick demonstration on what this node editing looks like before we get into the numbers. So I'm going to zoom in. This is the after, this is the before. So if I wanted to add a bridge on this graphic right here, number 1 rule is it can't be grouped. So you'll notice that I click on this, I've got the little dashes and dots. I've got to ungroup this. And so I'm going to come up here and select that. And now this graphic is not grouped. Now I can go ahead and node edit it. And if I wanted to create a bridge between this section right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the outside ring, come up here to node editing icon. I'm going to go ahead and just type the letter I for insert. And it's going to put a node right here. I'm going to come down here, I'm going to type another letter I, and then I'm going to go ahead and delete the stuff in the middle. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that. Okay. Then I'm going to come over here, go back to my selection tool, go to my node editing, hit the letter I for insert a node, letter I for insert a node, come up here, hover over the middle part I want to delete, and I'm hitting the D key for delete, not delete. And now I've gotten rid of that section. Now all I'd have to do is come in here to my line tool, make sure I'm selected red, and then all I would need to do is come in here, select this, make sure you have your snaps on. And then the last part is probably the most important part. When you do node editing, you've broken these lines, so they're not all one line anymore. And you'll notice that I've got, matter of fact, right here, it's not at the end. So I want to go back to the node editing and grab this little green dot, snap it into place. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that this line is joined with this line. So I'm going to hold the Shift key down, select that line, come up here to Edit, and Auto Join Selected Shapes. And now, if I come back here and select it, it's completely selected. And you can see it looks like this is already joined, so we're in good shape. And boom, that's how quick it is to generate a bridge. So if you learn your node editing skills, it's quick and easy. The thing I love about LightBurn is if you hover over this node editing icon, it'll give you a flyout, and those are all the key commands. Remember, delete is not the delete key, it is the D key. And you can see that right there. So give node editing a try. It's great for stuff like this, and you can modify some really cool stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look at how I generated the numbers and the frame plate for the numbers. Okay, so this is how I generated the template for our numbers that we need. And the first thing that I will tell you, I'll turn this on so you can see it. I had quite a few pieces of 1/4 inch plywood that was cut in this dimension that were already pre-cut that I had on a previous project, and I had some extras, and so I wanted to use them up. And so you can really dictate whatever size makes sense to you. I talked to the coaches to make sure they were going to be happy with the size of numbers that I generated, and all I did was come up with a size of number, put 2 in the middle, and what this is designed to do is you drop the numbers in these cutouts, and that way they've got a buffer, so when they spray paint this on the field, they don't get a bunch of overspray on the field that they've got to deal with. This keeps it nice and clean. And so what will happen is I just took a number of whatever size numbers you're going to generate, place them on the pieces of wood that I had, find some stencil numbers that work well for you, and then just drop them in the center. And at this point, all I'm doing is cutting out these numbers from this larger piece of plywood. I also, like I'll show you, I made a blank one in case they want to do single numbers, and you'll see here in the video here in just a minute how I use this. And then I also made a small logo just in case they needed one. So I'm providing numbers 0 through 9 so they can go ahead and use whatever number combination they need, and they can go from there. So that's really all there is to it. There isn't too much magic to this. Usually I use the same dimension this as I did for these cutouts. That way they just drop right in and it works out really well. And really that's all there is to it. Once you get these generated, of course, this is not going to change, maybe the school logo, but that's going to be it. And you can crank out a bunch of these number stencil kits for your softball and baseball teams, and they can do real well for you. So give it a try on some of your teams, and you never know. Like I said, all of a sudden they might want water bottles, bag tags, you name it, that kind of stuff. And usually once one school starts doing this and they see it, a lot of the other schools will follow. If you enjoy the content, sure appreciate a thumbs up and a like if you can. Check out the video and you can see how I use these things.